Tia, bird watching and bird feeding is a hobby that's growing tremendously.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. It's the fastest growing hobby in the country, I believe.
So what's your number one recommendation for seed?
My number one recommendation for seed is this black oil sunflower seed. It's the seed of preference of virtually all of the birds that would be in your backyard.
So what type of bird would eat that?
That would be your chickadees, your titmice, woodpeckers.
And here we have a really fine seed.
We have a very fine small seed for the finches and the siskins.
Now, what do you think of these mixed seeds?
Mixed seeds are, you know, the trouble with mixed seeds is that almost all the birds, what they're after is that black oil sunflower in there, and they're going to throw the rest of it on the ground, and it's going to be waste.
Now, I remember as a youngster actually boiling down fat and using that as a feed.
Absolutely. Here it is. It's really easy to use, and it's animal fats of various kinds. Sometimes there's peanut butter and other things in there. Very high energy food.
It's great because it comes in this cage that just flips open. You drop the cake in and hang it in the tree.
Hang it in the tree, and you'll get all kinds of birds, particularly woodpeckers.
That's just what I was going to say.
Yep.
Now, if you wanted someone to get started, what feeder would you have them get?
Okay, I think the simplest kind of feeder is just your basic tube feeder. You can get it in any size that you want. The important thing are these metal casings around the holes to keep those squirrels out.
Right. I've seen plastic ones that the squirrels literally eat their way in so they can get at all the seed.
Absolutely. This has got a number of perches. A lot of different birds can come and eat here at the same time.
And that would go on a hanger?
You'd have to hang it, exactly. And hang it on a tree or a branch, or I would recommend some kind of a hanger that you can place where you can see it in a good location for the birds.
Right, that's the advantage of a hanger opposed to using a tree.
As opposed
now
to
here
using
you have
a tree.
another feeder, but it's inside a cage.
The cage keeps out the squirrels and the big birds like the starlings and things like that we really don't want to encourage.
So you get chickadees and smaller birds in there.
Absolutely, flitting in there, and they're just cute as buttons.
Now you have another tube feeder over here, but it has very small holes in it.
Right, this is the Niger feeder. You couldn't put Niger in those feeders with the big holes, it would just fall out.
And over here, a cage with a seed in it.
And this is for the clinging birds, the little birds like a nuthatch that like to feed upside down, and then this platform allows birds that like to stand.
So some of them will literally grab right on there while they're feeding.
Exactly, absolutely.
And over here you have a little wooden structure.
Right, this is a platform feeder, and this is good for larger birds that like to come in and land rather than sit on a perch. The cardinals, the blue jays, those just gorgeous, colorful birds.
They're always striking in the winter.
Always striking, lively. Some people think they're noisy, but what the heck.
Now, what I've done is seen these put down lower. In fact, on my deck, I built one,
right,
and the blue jays and the cardinals will cover it up.
Right, and this is raised up like this purely to accommodate this squirrel baffle, keep the squirrels from eating off the platform.
Right, because they'll come up and they'll just empty this feeder of all the sunflower.
So if you've got a lot of squirrels, you want to consider the idea of squirrel baffles. I don't mind feeding squirrels to a certain extent, you know, but if you're being inundated with squirrels, then you have to discourage them somehow. This is a classic round baffle that would go on the bottom on a pole. If you're hanging from a tree, you'd have a round baffle above. The squirrels can't get around it. This baffle is too low. An enterprising squirrel could jump right up.
But if he did and he came up the pole, he'd be stuck by this baffle.
This is a belt and suspenders here.
Yeah, now this is a new type that I just found, and this actually has a battery operated, and when the squirrel jumps up on it, it spins and throws him right off. Doesn't hurt him.
Doesn't hurt him, but throws him off, exactly. And so the squirrel has no chance to grab any seed. A small little bird, like a chickadee, could land here and not engage the spin.
Perfect. Must confuse the squirrel,
I bet it does. I've never actually seen what they, uh-oh.
But the real limiting factor is water.
Is water. If you put out water for your birds, you'll just have a tremendous array of birds if you can put out water. It's probably more important than feeding. It definitely is more important than feeding. Around here in the winter, problem is most of the water's frozen, and even the bird bath will be frozen. So we'd use a heater in here to keep this open.
Yeah, you just set that heater in the basin, it'll keep it open.
And there are heaters specifically for bird baths because it's very shallow.
That's right. You only want an inch or two of water. If it's deeper than that, the birds won't come.
That's correct.
Well, thank you for all the great information, Tia. I look forward to watching the birds.
Thanks for coming, Roger.